is 2025.
Now, the news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray in for Gary this Inauguration Day.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And we've got a lot to get to this morning. As we mentioned, it is Inauguration Day, it is Martin Luther King Day, and cold weather is playing a role in everything today. So we want to get right to a check of that forecast. And like we said, how low will it go?
Yeah, pretty much the entire country is going to start seeing those well below average temperatures. And here in central New York, no different. We're looking at wind chill still very cold this morning, right around 0 in a lot of the Mohawk Valley. 4 in Rome. It was below 0 at least earlier this morning. 0 in Hamilton and 0 in Saranac Lake. -6, by the way, as you head down into Binghamton. Now, the radar itself looking pretty quiet. We are not expecting relatively active weather here in our area over the next several days. That looks to stay to our north, with intense lake effect snow setting up in parts of Oswego, Jefferson, Lewis, even maybe potentially parts of northern Herkimer County. But for the most part, things look relatively quiet here locally. Now, we are tracking some lake effects starting to take shape out in western New York as we speak. But again, here locally, things are quiet. It is very cold out there this morning, so definitely recommend grabbing those extra layers. In the next 12 hours, high temperatures climb into the low teens and begins our Arctic stretch for tomorrow and through Wednesday. Both days are alert days. Wind chills are going to plummet even colder for the overnight hours, both tonight and in tomorrow night. We'll, of course, have latest on how cold it gets, plus how much snowfall some locations up north can expect in that full forecast. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. Not sure the term climbing to 15 degrees is
maybe a slightly...
slight incline. All right, thanks a lot, man. Well, the last time the presidential inauguration fell on this...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Monday. The time now is 5:13, and heading out the door this morning, you might be encountering some very cold wind chills. Take a look at the Munson Commutecast right now. Live look at Old Forge, temperature of 0 degrees, very cold. The wind chills obviously likely below 0. Same thing in downtown Utica, temperature of 6 degrees. Dry roadways, but again, watch out for some icy spots after those temperatures did fall below freezing as we headed into Sunday and, of course, early today as well. Cooperstown, 4 degrees, and in Oneonta, we're sitting at 1 degree. And along with that, too, there are some locations that saw a nice dusting of light snow out on the ground. So, but taking a look at our traffic tracker early today, a lot of green at this point. Once the roadways get a little more busy, we'll have a better idea of how those roads are shaping up. But still some minor slowdowns, especially as you head down to the capital region. There was a lot of accidents and stuff that took place in the Albany area. But again, in our local area here today, we're starting out with some areas of patchy ice and frigid conditions. This afternoon, we remain dry until passing snow showers roll through from our potential lake effect snow band that'll set up primarily north of the Mohawk Valley and relatively north of our area in general. We'll take a look at where that sets up in detail straight ahead. Gary or Steve? Can't speak today.
It's
not a lot of sleep. The Bills game kept me awake.
And me too. Thank you very much, Bill. I mean, well, the NFL playoffs are in full swing.
Download the Storm Tracker 2 app. Free to install. Use the icons on the bottom to navigate between tabs. Get instant weather updates and alerts right on your phone. Storm Tracker 2, where we track storms.
The Cooperstown Camera is brought to you by Don's Ford of Utica. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone. Pardon me, I didn't have any morning coffee yet, and on top of that, that Bills game yesterday was a very stressful one. But here we are, Bills have won, and let's take a look at what's going on outside here early today. So we are dealing with some very cold conditions early this morning. A live view of downtown Utica. As Steve mentioned, temperature of 5 degrees moments ago. It's still very cold. Wind chills near or below 0. The radar is showing quiet conditions as we speak, but to our west, we've got some lake effect snow. So pretty interesting setups going on with some lower level dynamics right here out near Rochester. But for the most part, all that lake effect snow stays outside of our area, aside from a passing snow shower or even a few flurries here and there. Regarding wind chill, that's the main story of the next few days. And we've got Arctic wind chills, which means that those wind chills will be below zero, several degrees below zero, at least for the overnight hours Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. We'll see a slight warm up as we approach the end of the work week, but still temperatures look to be rather cold. I do want to add something pretty interesting as we talk about those bitter cold wind chills, at least regarding colder temperatures as well. Snowflakes develop very differently when it comes to very cold temperatures. You get those bigger flakes when you have temperatures in the 20s, needles between the low 20s, and eventually you get to different shapes as those temperatures go down. But it's interesting as you go down below zero and the flakes start to go in reverse. And when you get to a certain temperature below -8, the snow falls with flakes like columns, which you're probably wondering what's the reasoning I'm explaining this. Well, when the snow falls like that, temperatures that cold, they create what are called light pillars in the sky. Basically, all that light is reflecting off the snowflakes, and that's when you get those very bright beams of light that go up in the sky over the cities. Now, we don't have any real snowfall to really measure that here locally, but that might take place in areas up north. But speaking of areas up north, let's mention what that lake effect snow is going to do. So again, this evening, a passing snow shower. That switches to some heavy lake effect snow up to the north, which will linger over the next several days. Besides that, here locally, mainly quiet conditions, opportunity for sunshine, but the main story, of course, here locally are those bitter cold temperatures. And you can see here wind chills heading into Wednesday morning. Very, very cold. -20, -21, -18. Very cold wind chills. Regarding snowfall accumulations, of course, the bullseye of this event looks to take place up in parts of Lewis County, Jefferson County, and Oswego County, right along just north of Tug Hill, right around Lowville, potentially up north, Pinckney, Adams. South of Watertown looks to be where the bullseye is going to be in that yellow area with over 2 feet of accumulation. But again, a lot of that snowfall is going to be on the fluffier side, in fact, almost sandy side of some of that snowfall texture. 7-day forecast, alert day tomorrow and Wednesday due to very cold temperatures. Make sure you stay warm. Maybe a tip for those of you who don't have that strong of insulation in the house to maybe let that faucet drip a little bit. But regardless, we're back into the 20s by Friday and Saturday. So short-lived, very cold stretch of weather.
Yeah, that's some good advice about letting the water run and all those cold weather preps that we talk about. Because it's going to be, even though it's only a couple days, it's going to seem like a lot longer. So certainly be careful. All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Well, as those temps turn colder, we want to remind you of places you can go to keep warm if you need to. The Utica Rescue Mission has 2 warming centers, one at 103 West Street and the other at 203-205 Rutger. They are open 24 hours. The United County Office Building, meanwhile, in Utica serves as an overflow warming center when others are full, and it's open 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. during Code Blue, which is when the temperature is 32 degrees or lower. Now, those of you in Rome can call the number on your screen to inquire about free rides to the County Warming Center in Utica. Well, one place that is definitely not used to the cold, Houston, bracing for a winter storm that could dump up to 6 inches of snow as temps turn colder. It's actually forced the closure of the city's airport. Sand and brine trucks, along with utility trucks, are lined up and ready to roll in anticipation of what the Houston mayor is calling a serious and dangerous storm. Schools and government offices will be closed, and as we mentioned, George Bush Intercontinental Airport and the William Hobby Airport closed starting at midnight Tuesday morning. Well, the time now is 5:24. Still a
Tracker 2 team, where we track storms. The Cooperstown Camera is brought to you by Don's Ford of Utica.
Welcome back to Sunrise, everyone. Our photo of the day to start out the work week will take us to an unknown location, and I'm hoping those that submitted this will be willing to share what town or city they took this in, because this is a snow pig, and it reminded me that pretty much all winter long. Haven't really quite shown too many snowmen, or at least in this case, a snow pig. This was taken by a father and son duo, Alex and Sebastian. Amazing one right here. And if you guys here at home have a photo of a snowman or anything snow related you guys built and you want to showcase your artistic skills, send it WKTV.com/weather/pics to the chance to have your snowman featured right here on News Channel 2 at sunrise. I want to see just how creative some of you guys have been with all that fresh snowfall we've seen over the past several weeks. Now, the cold temperatures, of course, might put a hinder onto some recent snowman development. But of course, if you built one maybe a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, feel free to send it in. 5 degrees in Whitesboro, 7 Little Falls, 3 in Cooperstown, so very cold temperatures across the board, and these temperatures do remain very cold for the middle of the week, warming back up to slightly below average as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So again, this very cold Arctic blast is only going to last a few days, but a reminder to make sure you find ways to stay warm. Steve?
All right, Eric, good advice. Well, a little more than 12 hours after it went dark, the popular social
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone. On this Monday, to start out the work week, things look rather cold. In fact, bitter cold. Taking a live look at downtown Utica right now, a temperature still in the low single digits with mainly dry conditions. Now, you might have to brush off some light, I would say not quite fluffy snow, more so sandy snow with how cold it's been off your car early this morning. But besides that, most of these roadways are generally clear. Side roads still lightly snow covered as of now, but no additional snowfall expected to impact your morning commute, at least throughout the next couple of hours. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We also are tracking some light snow out in parts of western New York and some lake effect snow right along the line of Lake Ontario heading into northern, at least northern parts of western New York as we speak. But here locally, things are looking relatively quiet. We will see the potential for a snow shower later on in the day. We'll explain that when we get to our Skycast. Now, regarding our wind chills next few days, this is probably as cold as we've experienced all season long. Frigid wind chills today, Arctic levels Tuesday and Wednesday, with those wind chills several degrees below zero for pretty much the entire day. Overnights will be potentially double digits below zero. So find ways to stay warm. Again, some tips. Make sure that if you have less insulation in parts of your homes, maybe to let your faucet drip a little bit to make sure your pipes don't freeze. It's a very expensive thing to deal with if it does happen. But as we take a look at our Skycast today, we can see that those temperatures really aren't warming up all too much. Into the teens, wind chills still remaining relatively cold. And then we'll see the potential of a passing snow shower by the evening hours. It's not going to last all too long, maybe a half hour if we're lucky, before that snow band primarily sets up north of our area, heading up north of Boonville, maybe close to parts of Old Forge, but impacting mainly Lewis County. And this will sustain itself for pretty much the next day or so, remaining relatively stationary, not wobbling north or south all too much. In fact, here locally, we have opportunity for some sunshine for much of the afternoon and evening on Tuesday, and same thing for Wednesday with colder temperatures. That snow band drops down a little bit, but somewhat weakens, and it shifts its way back up north again as we head into Wednesday evening. Wind chills. The coldest nights will be Wednesday, or at least early Wednesday morning. You can see some of these wind chills here. Very, very cold. Negative double digits. That's when you get into the Arctic levels. Now, regarding snowfall, notice here the bullseye of the snowfall event is pretty much outside of our region. Impacts primarily Lewis County in, say, parts of Lowville, heading towards the northern part of Tug Hill. Of course, Pinckney and Adams heading out towards Sandy Creek. That's where that bullseye, seeing 2 or more feet of snow, is possible. Your 7-day forecast, yes, we have alert days. Yes, there are snow icons on the 7-day, Tuesday and Wednesday, but the alert days are for the bitter cold temperatures. Make sure you find ways to stay warm, bundle up heading out, because, of course, frostbite is a real concern when we talk about temperatures and wind chills this cold. It ends up happening very quick.
Absolutely. So good advice. Bundle up, dress in layers, and limit your exposure outside. All right. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, a long-held tradition for the toy
News with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 6 o'clock hour of News Channel 2 at Sunrise. I'm Steve McMurray, in for Gary this morning.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a big day. It is Inauguration Day, as we've said. It is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so a lot going on, but we want to get you started with the forecast because it is cold, cold, cold.
Yes, that's
In
the
that
headline this morning. Yes, very cold. I grabbed some extra layers heading out early today, and you might want to do so yourself. Let's take a look at those wind chills. Again, you factor in those winds, and that temperature on paper will feel a lot colder, and that's what we get here with that wind chill. -4 in Hamilton, just around 0 in parts of the Mohawk Valley. A lot of locations in central New York are near or below 0. With the exception of areas out in, say, the Finger Lakes region, due to the clouds and snow showers, keeping those temperatures still a little bit warmer. And as we go live, look at the Ortho Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. There are a few flurries falling in Syracuse as we speak. This is all driven by just some weak lake effect response just off of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. And throughout the day today, we won't be seeing too much regarding snowfall impacts, the main impacts, of course, being those temperatures. But we will see a passing snow shower rolling through later on this evening as that heavy lake effect snow will set up primarily north of central New York. This will not impact us all too much here in the Mohawk Valley, even in parts of areas just north of the Mohawk Valley. Downtown Utica, a live view right now. It's cold, very cold out there. And although roads are dry here locally, as you head down south and west, say heading down close to Oneonta and even town towards the capital region, that's where most of that snow fell from that nor'easter overnight this past night. But again, impacts day, very cold temperatures in the teens, wind chills much cooler. We have a look at how much snowfall we could expect from that lake effect snow up north and how cold we get with that wind chill for the next couple of days straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The last time the presidential inauguration.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Monday morning. The time now is 6:14. What can you expect heading out the door today? Well, I think pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be very cold out there, but let's take a look at those road conditions. First off, in Old Forge, temperature of 0, so some icy spots, but not a whole lot of snow fell overnight, but still wind chill is much cooler. The temperature in downtown Utica is sitting at 5 degrees, but still mainly quiet conditions. A light dusting of snow overnight. And in Cooperstown, 2 degrees. A little more snow has fallen down in the Cooperstown area. And lastly, in Oneonta, where most of the snow had fallen, temperature of 1 degree as we speak. Our traffic tracker, a lot more yellows and locations on less traveled roadways, those slowdowns heading out into, say, parts of Herkimer County, full Montgomery counties towards the capital region. That's where, again, most of that snow fell from that nor'easter overnight. But there is still an accident to report northwest of Rome. This is on a side road on Gore Road between Route 69 and Taberg Road and Forest Ridge Drive. Location right here. So again, on a main road, but again, the accident was reported. So again, heading out the door early today, watch out for some icy spots. It's downright frigid out there early today. By this afternoon, mainly quiet. We're tracking the arrival of a single snow band as it sets the stage for a heavy lake effect snow event up north of our area. Matter of fact, we'll explain a lot more regarding where that lake effect snow sets up and how cold we get over the next few days coming up in that full forecast. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The NFL playoffs are in full swing as they're
Spoil your day. Watch for the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast and be ready for your drive to and from work. The Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast is brought to you by the Pratt Munson College of Art and Design. Visit Pratt Munson today and ignite curiosity and creativity. The Cooperstown Camera is brought to you by Don's Ford of Utica. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, on this Monday. Today starting out rather quiet after some overnight snow had fallen over our region. In fact, downtown Utica, live view right now, actually some clearing skies out in the distance. Temperatures, though, still very cold early this morning, so you want to grab those extra layers if you're heading out to work early today. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Again, it's dry here locally. Some snow showers out in parts of western New York, primarily some lake effect starting to take shape between Rochester and out in Buffalo. And a few flurries falling in Syracuse as we speak. We could see a passing flurry or two throughout the day today. A better shot for snowfall this evening. We'll, of course, show those latest details on that snowfall coming up in our Skycast in just a minute. But the main story today, those downright frigid wind chills across the board. Frigid today, Arctic for Tuesday and Wednesday. A lot of those mornings, those wind chills will be several degrees below zero, likely double digits below zero. So one of those days you might want to say, for example, have that faucet dripping a little bit. If you have a house or an apartment that has less insulation, for most spots, at least with decent amount of insulation, you don't quite have to use that. But again, just a heads up, it could save you a lot of money regarding any plumbing costs. By Thursday, those wind chills go back to frigid again, and then finally, we're going to be approaching more normal levels of temperature as we approach the weekend. But let's look at our Skycast regarding that snowfall that looks to arrive. You can see here a few passing flurries throughout the day today, some peaks of sunshine. By this evening, a quick passing snow shower is possible, and that will come to an end. We'll see heavy lake effect snow set up north of our area. This will be outside of Oneida County, potentially in areas in northern Herkimer County, but again, most of that snow does stay outside of central New York. It remains pretty steady, wobbles a little north and south, but again, doesn't wobble all too much, keeping its hold in parts of Oswego and Lewis County. Eventually sweeping south a little bit, heading into early Wednesday morning, diminishing its strength a little bit, and then coming back up north again as we look ahead to Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. The main story, though, those cold temperatures. Here's a look at those wind chills by early morning hours Wednesday. Minus 18 Utica, minus 21 in Cooperstown, minus 22 in Norwich. Very cold temperatures. And then regarding snowfall accumulation, you can see here, the bullseye, this snowfall event looks to stay north of our region, impacting primarily Lewis County, Oswego County, and Jefferson County, with Lowville, say parts of Pinckney and Adams, heading out north of Sandy Creek, out near Lake Ontario, will be where that bullseye is going to be. Your 7-day forecast, we have 2 alert days in effect for tomorrow and for Wednesday. The main concern, obviously, going to be that wind chill. And again, it's not too impactful if you're indoors, but a reminder that frostbite will happen very quickly if you stay outdoors for a length of time Tuesday and Wednesday. So again, just a quick heads up to grab extra layers, grab that extra glove. Just make sure you find ways to stay warm.
Absolutely, and limit your exposure outside, especially tomorrow when that wind chill looks like negative double digits. Yikes. All right. Well, as those temperatures turn colder, we want to remind you 2025 and the news rolls along right now.
Now, the news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good Monday morning to you. Thank you for joining us this half hour. I'm Steve McMurray, in for Gary this morning.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a lot to get to. Obviously, it's Inauguration Day. It's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We're going to start, though, with the weather because it is cold out, and it's going to get colder and almost dangerously cold.
Yes, wind chill's the main story the next few days. There is some lake effect snow up north, but most of that stays outside of our region. But yes, again, let's take a look at those current wind chills out there this morning because it is downright frigid in a lot of spots. Below zero in Hamilton and 2 in Rome, minus 3 in Watertown, and heading down to Binghamton still in the negatives. Some lake effect snow in areas out in parts of the Finger Lakes in western New York, but here locally, things are relatively quiet. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Again, looking at mainly quiet conditions. We are tracking some lake effect snow winding through parts of the western New York area as we speak, heavier just north of Buffalo. But here in downtown Utica, in fact, quite the opposite. Some early morning twilight. Yes, those sunrises are getting earlier and earlier. We're starting to see that twilight in the eastern sky as we speak, taking a live look out to the east. Your next 12 hours, temperatures in the single digits. We will climb into the teens this afternoon. Wind chills obviously much cooler and mainly quiet for much of the day today, aside from a few flurries. A quick burst of snow this evening, and then lake effect snow stays to our north. We are tracking how much snow areas up north will experience, plus on top of that, how cold we get with those wind chills in the next few days in that full forecast. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. New this morning, we're now just hours away.
The Cooperstown Camera is brought to you by Don's Ford of Utica.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. Our photo of the day today takes us to an unknown location. Yes, those of you who submitted this photo, feel free to share when we post this on social media later today where this photo was taken. But we wanted to showcase it because I feel like this whole winter when we've seen all this snowfall, I haven't quite shown as many snowmen, or in this case, snow pigs, as much as I wanted to. And so moving forward, if you want to showcase your artistic creativity like father and son duo Alex and Sebastian did right here, you can send your photo to WKTV.com/weather/pics to the chance of your photo, your snowman, your snow pig, your snow whatever, to our page to have the chance to have it featured right here on Sunrise. And of course, I want to see how creative some of you guys are and how big some of those snowmen can get. There's still plenty of snow, and on top of that, if you don't want to go out in the cold the next couple of days, still you can showcase what you built over the past several weeks, and we'll of course try our best to showcase it at least throughout this week or in the next several weeks. Temperatures this morning still very cold. -1 in Cooperstown, -4 in Whitesboro, -5, or I should say 4 degrees in Whitesboro, 5 degrees in Hessville. And we'll still continue to see those temperatures remain cold throughout the day today and throughout Tuesday and Wednesday. A slight warm-up moves in as we approach Thursday, Friday, and Saturday later on this week. Steve?
All right, thanks a lot, Eric, and hopefully we'll cross our fingers for that warm-up. It's going to be chilly over the next 72 hours. Well, a little more than 12 hours after it went.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone. On this Monday, this very cold start to the day today with temperatures in the single digits, wind chills much cooler. As we take a live look at downtown Utica, the early morning twilight out in the distance, so a quiet start to the day. A few snow showers out in parts of, say, western New York and the Finger Lakes out near Syracuse. Now, we could see a passing flurry as this band sweeps its way east, but besides that, most of that snowfall activity stays outside of our area for much of the daytime today. That will not be the case as we head into this evening, right around sunset, with the passing of a brief snow shower. We'll, of course, get to that in a minute. Regarding the wind chills, this is when we're going to be experiencing some very cold temperatures, at least for today. Frigid wind chills near below zero. Arctic wind chills Tuesday and Wednesday, several degrees below zero, especially in the morning. So if you are heading out early in the day, expect wind chills potentially double digits below zero. And we'll, of course, have a look at how cold some of the nights get as well coming up in a minute. But following that, we do see those wind chills warming up a little bit as we head to Thursday and eventually Friday to wrap up the work week. So this Arctic blast isn't going to produce these Arctic wind chills for several days, only for, say, a couple of days for the middle of the week. So we'll warm back up again to near average temperatures as we approach Friday and eventually Saturday. And so in our Skycast today, a few flurries south this afternoon, otherwise mainly quiet conditions. This evening, a passing snow band as we approach the early evening commute. Following that, heavy lake effect snow sets up north of our area and remains north of our area. This will not impact primarily locations that saw that brunt of that snowfall in weeks past in northern Oneida County. In fact, you'll see even more shots for peaks of sunshine for Tuesday as well as Wednesday. But still, those temperatures are going to be bitter cold. You can see these temperatures through the Mohawk Valley, north and south, still remaining in the negatives and then warming up to say 7, 10 degrees if we're lucky. And then by Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, we'll see conditions turn more cloudy with the arrival of our next system. Wednesday morning will be our coldest morning, and you can see here just how cold we'll get. Wind chills in Cooperstown and Morrisville, minus 20, minus 22 in Norwich, and minus 18 in Utica, minus 17 Little Falls. Very cold wind chills to start out the day. And then lastly, regarding any additional snowfall accumulation, this bullseye of snow will be taking place primarily north of our area. This will impact north of Tug Hill, parts of, say, Lowville, heading into parts of Pinckney, Adams, South Henderson, and north of Sandy Creek. Very thin band here in that yellow, which will see more than 2 feet of snow, and then a sharp contrast as you head down through Lewis County and into Oneida County, where there will be barely any snowfall on the ground. Your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures in the teens and single digits, wind chills several degrees below zero, making both Tuesday and Wednesday alert days. Just a reminder to make sure you bundle up, spend less time outdoors, because again, frostbite happens very quickly before you know it when you have temperatures that cold.
Yeah, and especially those wind chills, just dangerously cold. So if you don't have to go out the next couple days, don't. And if you do, certainly bundle up with layers. All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Well, a long-held tradition for the...
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, Central New York. Today we are starting out relatively quiet here in the Mohawk Valley, but as we head throughout the day today, the main story will be these frigid wind chills. But let's take a look at the radar and satellite right now, because there are some light snow showers out in the Finger Lakes region, which could pass through areas south of Utica throughout the late morning, early afternoon today. That might produce, again, some light snowfall. Really nothing major regarding any accumulations, but still, we're in somewhat active weather. However, that active weather will gradually shift its way north of our area as we head into the middle of the week. But again, that main story, of course, those Arctic wind chills. Frigid today, Arctic Tuesday and Wednesday. Those wind chills, by the way, will be several degrees, or in fact, potentially double digits below zero. Following that, we warm up a little bit heading into Thursday, and a slight warm up closer to average as we turn the page into Friday and eventually the weekend. But let's zoom into our skycast over the next couple of days. We'll explain where that lake effect snow sets up and those temperatures. So again, today high temperatures will be in the teens, a few passing clouds, some light snow showers to the south. By this evening, closer to sunset, here comes the arrival of a quick snow band, a quick burst of snow as that lake effect begins to take shape in areas up north. Then overnight, we'll start to see those frigid wind chills begin to take place. It's 4 degrees in Utica and in Little Falls, negatives out to the south. Those winds are pretty strong, even some partial clearing, so some of these temperatures might fall even more, potentially below zero. Of course, wind chills several degrees below zero. In the meantime, pretty active weather in areas up in Lewis County and northern Herkimer County. This will be just north of Old Forge, producing some light snow in the Old Forge Inlet area, but again, this heaviest of snow takes place outside of central New York. Throughout the daytime Tuesday, that snow band again remains steady in areas to the north. A few lake effect clouds to the south in the Mohawk Valley. High temperatures right around 10, maybe 11 degrees, with still potentially some clear skies for much of the day during Tuesday. Then by the evening, we'll start to see the clouds roll through temporarily again, partial clearing in the Mohawk Valley. Wednesday morning is going to be our coldest night, at least so far this week, so far this season. And you notice here, temperature -8 in Utica, -6 in Little Falls. We'll see those wind chills in just a second, but again, we'll see partial clearing. Lake effect snow band passes south a little bit, producing mainly clouds, a few blowing flurries in Camden and Boonville, before sweeping back up north again by Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. But back to those wind chills. Here we are, Wednesday morning. 18 below zero in Utica, 17 below zero in Little Falls, 20 below zero in Morrisville, 21 below zero in Cooperstown, and -22 in Norwich. So pretty much every location here in central New York are going to see very bitter cold Arctic wind chills. So early Wednesday, one of those mornings, you want to make sure you grab some extra layers, bundle up. Reminder, frostbite in temperatures like these take place very quickly in a matter of minutes. So you want to make sure that you have extra layers on, gloves, scarf. We're not saying you don't have to go outside, but maybe limit time outside if you can. And if you do go outside, make sure you have plenty of layers. Now let's mention that snowfall accumulation. So we mentioned over the past several days that we'll be seeing a significant lake effect event this week. This snow event will be taking place primarily north of us, but still significant lake effect snow nearing potentially more than 2 feet north of Tug Hill in Lewis County, impacting Lowville, Pinckney, Adams, north of Sandy Creek, the I-81 corridor. And so again, most of the snowfall does fall outside of central New York, but still areas like, for example, Old Forge could see at least a couple of inches of snowfall on the ground from the system. And so your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures peaking in the teens Tuesday and Wednesday, both alert days for those frigid wind chills, warming back up into the 20s by the end of the week.
Central New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, Central New York. Today we are starting out relatively quiet here in the Mohawk Valley, but as we head throughout the day today, the main story will be these frigid wind chills. But let's take a look at the radar and satellite right now, because there are some light snow showers out in the Finger Lakes region, which could pass through areas south of Utica throughout the late morning, early afternoon today. That might produce, again, some light snowfall. Really nothing major regarding any accumulations, but still, we're in somewhat active weather. However, that active weather will gradually shift its way north of our area as we head into the middle of the week. But again, that main story, of course, those Arctic wind chills. Frigid today, Arctic Tuesday and Wednesday. Those wind chills, by the way, will be several degrees, or in fact, potentially double digits below zero. Following that, we warm up a little bit heading into Thursday, and a slight warm up closer to average as we turn the page into Friday and eventually the weekend. But let's zoom into our skycast over the next couple of days. We'll explain where that lake effect snow sets up and those temperatures. So again, today high temperatures will be in the teens, a few passing clouds, some light snow showers to the south. By this evening, closer to sunset, here comes the arrival of a quick snow band, a quick burst of snow as that lake effect begins to take shape in areas up north. Then overnight, we'll start to see those frigid wind chills begin to take place. It's 4 degrees in Utica and in Little Falls, negatives out to the south. Those winds are pretty strong, even some partial clearing, so some of these temperatures might fall even more, potentially below zero. Of course, wind chills several degrees below zero. In the meantime, pretty active weather in areas up in Lewis County and northern Herkimer County. This will be just north of Old Forge, producing some light snow in the Old Forge Inlet area, but again, this heaviest of snow takes place outside of central New York. Throughout the daytime Tuesday, that snow band again remains steady in areas to the north. A few lake effect clouds to the south in the Mohawk Valley. High temperatures right around 10, maybe 11 degrees, with still potentially some clear skies for much of the day during Tuesday. Then by the evening, we'll start to see the clouds roll through temporarily again, partial clearing in the Mohawk Valley. Wednesday morning is going to be our coldest night, at least so far this week, so far this season. And you notice here, temperature -8 in Utica, -6 in Little Falls. We'll see those wind chills in just a second, but again, we'll see partial clearing. Lake effect snow band passes south a little bit, producing mainly clouds, a few blowing flurries in Camden and Boonville, before sweeping back up north again by Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. But back to those wind chills. Here we are, Wednesday morning. 18 below zero in Utica, 17 below zero in Little Falls, 20 below zero in Morrisville, 21 below zero in Cooperstown, and -22 in Norwich. So pretty much every location here in central New York are going to see very bitter cold Arctic wind chills. So early Wednesday, one of those mornings, you want to make sure you grab some extra layers, bundle up. Reminder, frostbite in temperatures like these take place very quickly in a matter of minutes. So you want to make sure that you have extra layers on, gloves, scarf. We're not saying you don't have to go outside, but maybe limit time outside if you can. And if you do go outside, make sure you have plenty of layers. Now let's mention that snowfall accumulation. So we mentioned over the past several days that we'll be seeing a significant lake effect event this week. This snow event will be taking place primarily north of us, but still significant lake effect snow nearing potentially more than 2 feet north of Tug Hill in Lewis County, impacting Lowville, Pinckney, Adams, north of Sandy Creek, the I-81 corridor. And so again, most of the snowfall does fall outside of central New York, but still areas like, for example, Old Forge could see at least a couple of inches of snowfall on the ground from the system. And so your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures peaking in the teens Tuesday and Wednesday, both alert days for those frigid wind chills, warming back up into the 20s by the end of the week.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, Central New York. Today we are starting out relatively quiet here in the Mohawk Valley, but as we head throughout the day today, the main story will be these frigid wind chills. But let's take a look at the radar and satellite right now, because there are some light snow showers out in the Finger Lakes region, which could pass through areas south of Utica throughout the late morning, early afternoon today. That might produce, again, some light snowfall. Really nothing major regarding any accumulations, but still, we're in somewhat active weather. However, that active weather will gradually shift its way north of our area as we head into the middle of the week. But again, that main story, of course, those Arctic wind chills. Frigid today, Arctic Tuesday and Wednesday. Those wind chills, by the way, will be several degrees, or in fact, potentially double digits below zero. Following that, we warm up a little bit heading into Thursday, and a slight warm up closer to average as we turn the page into Friday and eventually the weekend. But let's zoom into our skycast over the next couple of days. We'll explain where that lake effect snow sets up and those temperatures. So again, today high temperatures will be in the teens, a few passing clouds, some light snow showers to the south. By this evening, closer to sunset, here comes the arrival of a quick snow band, a quick burst of snow as that lake effect begins to take shape in areas up north. Then overnight, we'll start to see those frigid wind chills begin to take place. It's 4 degrees in Utica and in Little Falls, negatives out to the south. Those winds are pretty strong, even some partial clearing, so some of these temperatures might fall even more, potentially below zero. Of course, wind chills several degrees below zero. In the meantime, pretty active weather in areas up in Lewis County and northern Herkimer County. This will be just north of Old Forge, producing some light snow in the Old Forge Inlet area, but again, this heaviest of snow takes place outside of central New York. Throughout the daytime Tuesday, that snow band again remains steady in areas to the north. A few lake effect clouds to the south in the Mohawk Valley. High temperatures right around 10, maybe 11 degrees, with still potentially some clear skies for much of the day during Tuesday. Then by the evening, we'll start to see the clouds roll through temporarily again, partial clearing in the Mohawk Valley. Wednesday morning is going to be our coldest night, at least so far this week, so far this season. And you notice here, temperature -8 in Utica, -6 in Little Falls. We'll see those wind chills in just a second, but again, we'll see partial clearing. Lake effect snowband passes south a little bit, producing mainly clouds, a few blowing flurries in Camden and Boonville, before sweeping back up north again by Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. But back to those wind chills. Here we are, Wednesday morning. 18 below zero in Utica, 17 below zero in Little Falls, 20 below zero in Morrisville, 21 below zero in Cooperstown, and -22 in Norwich. So pretty much every location here in central New York are going to see very bitter cold Arctic wind chills. So early Wednesday, one of those mornings, you want to make sure you grab some extra layers, bundle up. Reminder, frostbite in temperatures like these take place very quickly in the matter of minutes. So you want to make sure that you have extra layers on, gloves, scarf. We're not saying you don't have to go outside, but maybe limit time outside if you can. And if you do go outside, make sure you have plenty of layers. Now let's mention that snowfall accumulation. So we mentioned over the past several days that we'll be seeing a significant lake effect event this week. This snow event will be taking place primarily north of us, but still significant lake effect snow nearing potentially more than 2 feet north of Tug Hill in Lewis County, impacting Lowville, Pinckney, Adams, north of Sandy Creek, the I-81 corridor. And so again, most of the snowfall does fall outside of central New York, but still areas like, for example, Old Forge could see at least a couple of inches of snowfall on the ground from the system. And so your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures peaking in the teens Tuesday and Wednesday, both alert days for those frigid wind chills, warming back up into the 20s by the end of the week.
Forecast tonight at 10, meteorologist James Fazio in for the Chief tonight on a busy night in the Weather Center.
We have some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, we do.
And it's very interesting. We had thunder snow just to the south of Buffalo, a very robust band coming off Lake Erie. Not to discount what is happening across the Tug Hill Plateau. However, we happen to notice this little blurb of precipitation
Who
show
noticed
up.
that little blurb of precipitation?
Ben here pointed this out to me, and I was very, very proud. And this is phenomenal. Seneca Lake producing its own lake effect snow. Very, very light lake effect, primarily just flurries and no accumulation.
Now, typically,
nothing that's going to be sustained, but incredibly cool occurrence.
Yeah, you typically see lake effect off the Finger Lakes going north to south, right?
Yes, because of the parallel, the winds are parallel to the direction of the lake, the angle of the lake. And as we head back up north, the Tug Hill continues to get blasted, where they will continue to see heavy snow for several days. Let's take a look at our forecast in general. Currently up in Rome, it's 10 degrees, mostly clear skies, which is helping facilitate it be so darn chilly out there. 7-mile-an-hour winds, which does allow for a wind chill factor of -1. Our wind chills have already gone below zero, and they're going to be below zero pretty much predominantly for the next 2 to 3 days. By Thursday midday, things start to improve. Heavy lake effect snow tonight continues across the Tug Hill. It's going to continue all the way into the day on Wednesday. Several days of sustained heavy snow across the Tug Hill, the northern portions of the Tug Hill especially. And then we have our alert day in for Tuesday and Wednesday for dangerously cold wind chills, 15 to 25 degrees below zero, and that's enough to cause frostbite on exposed skin in less than 30 minutes. Tonight, though, lows right around 0 degrees. We're going to bottom out right around the goose egg. Mostly clear skies before we head into tomorrow. We have more information coming up on the Arctic blast up in full weather. Ben?
All right, James, thank you very much. As a result of those cold temperatures, several warming stations will be opening in Oneida County. The Utica Rescue Mission has 2 warming centers, one at 1013 West Street and the other at 203 Rutgers Street. The Oneida County office building will serve as an overflow warming center. If you live in Rome and need a ride to Utica, call 315-736-0141. Also new within the last hour, Governor Hochul has issued a state of emergency for Oneida and Lewis counties because of the lake effect snow and also the cold temperatures. The Utica Commons have announced.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist James DeFazio.
Good Monday evening. A very active week of weather ahead. We had quite a bit of active weather today. We had a quick burst of snow as the lake effect band formed to the south, quickly swept through the region, got a nice coating of snow across most areas. But the lake band has settled across the Tug Hill, where it is going to remain into the day on Wednesday. This is the snowfall forecast just for tonight, for just until tomorrow morning. An 8 to 12 inch bullseye in the northern portions of the Tug Hill, 4 to 8 inches for central Lewis County, 2 to 4 inches for southern Lewis County, as well as northern Herkimer County, and a trace to 2 inches on the fringes in extreme northern Oneida County. It's also going to be extremely windy as well with these conditions. It's going to make, with driving and blowing snow, the travel advisory is an absolutely good idea, the fact that they've already put that into effect. Alert day in effect for Tuesday and for Wednesday for incredibly frigid weather, dangerously cold weather. Wind chills chills of 15 to 25 below zero, cold enough wind chills to cause hypothermia and frostbite issues in less than 30 minutes. Currently already down to 10 degrees, with mostly clear skies up in Rome, and that wind isn't at zero or calm, 7 miles per hour, making it feel like below zero. We're into below zero wind chills. Your Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, couple of those flurries coming off the Finger Lakes, which is really cool phenomena to see. But we have the main band up to the north across the Tug Hill, and it's really going to stay pretty much in the exact same spot for the next 48 hours. There's a band off of Lake Erie as well. This band off of Lake Ontario is really going to be between Redfield and Watertown for a sustained period of time. Our wind chills are just going to be downright nasty over the next 3 days. For the most part, we're almost entirely below zero. We do climb above zero at times, but not for very long, and it is short-lived. Each morning we peak between 15 to 25 below at times. Really uncomfortable, dangerous air. Be very careful if you're going outside during those hours. Skycast for tonight, lake effect band up to the north across Tug Hill, where it remains, not really moving very much, going to stay right there. Otherwise, mostly clear across the valley, allowing it to cool off very abruptly. Going to be a chilly day tomorrow. Doesn't really warm up too much, single digits. That lake band basically stationary, and it will stay stationary until Wednesday when the winds start to begin to change. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast, we have those alert days in for the next 2 days for that extremely dangerously cold weather. Highs are going to be in the upper single digits to low 10s. We go below zero Tuesday night, starting to think we're going to go below zero again as well Wednesday night. And then we finally begin a much more milder trend. We climb back up into more normal temperatures for this time of the year. We're into the mid-30s with mild, with calm, dry weather Thursday. Light snow chances Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Temperatures still in the upper 20s. Snow looks to primarily be, again, to the north.
Tonight at 11, meteorologist James DeFazio in for the Chief tonight on a very busy night.
Yes, very busy week of weather. We have quite a bit of lake effect going on right now. Some thunder snow just to the south of Buffalo. We even had some light snow show up off of courtesy of the Finger Lakes, which Ben picked up on himself.
Thank you.
Yes, which I have to give him credit for. Lake band up north, absolutely cranking. This is what we were looking at earlier, just a couple of flurries coming off of Seneca Lake.
And it's weird because usually those go north to south.
Yes, typically when the winds are out of the north and they're parallel to the lake of the band or to the direction of the band, just like the wind directions are westerly over the westerly oriented Lake Ontario right now, we're seeing the band pretty substantial over the Tug Hill. As we take a look at the current conditions up in Rome, it is quite chilly out there. It's down into the single digits. We're down in 9 degrees, clear skies, which is allowing it to get cool, very cool. The clear skies is going to allow the temperatures to continue to drop throughout the night tonight. With that light breeze, only 6 miles an hour, it's still enough to make it feel below zero. We're going to have below zero wind chills for a very sustained period of time. We're looking at sustained wind chills below zero well into Thursday. Heavy lake effect snow tonight continues to the north. We have that alert day in for Tuesday and for Wednesday for that dangerous wind chills, 15 to 25 below zero. We'll have more information coming up in full weather on that Arctic blast. Ben?
All right, James, thank you very much. And as a result of that Arctic blast, several warming shelters will be opening in Oneida County. The Utica Rescue Mission has 2. One is at 1013 West Street, the other at 203 Rutger Street, both in the city of Utica. The Oneida County office building will also serve as an overflow warming center. If you live in Rome and need a ride to the Utica Warming Center, you can call 315-736-0141. Earlier this evening, Governor Hochul issued a state of emergency that includes Oneida and Lewis counties as a result of the cold weather and the snow. The Utica Comets have announced a
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist James DeFazio.
Good Monday evening. Not sure if you made your way outside over the last 6 to 8 hours or so, but our Arctic blast has begun. It is very chilly out there. It is quite brisk. I would say absolutely frigid. Downtown Utica right now, just wet roadways despite the cold temperatures. Shouldn't be seeing any additional snowfall tonight, so anything that was treated should be okay. However, up to the north, a much different story. This snowfall forecast only for tonight. Snow continues through the day Tuesday and into the day on Wednesday, but overnight tonight, 8 to 12 inches up on the northern portions of the Tug Hill Plateau. Central Lewis County, 4 to 8 inches. Northern Herkimer County and southern Lewis County, 2 to 4 inches, and then the outskirts from there, about a trace to 2 inches, maybe nothing at all from points just a little bit south. Once we get into northern Oneida County, we're not expecting too much snowfall at all. When we move forward, over the next couple of days, the snow doesn't really move very much. That lake band and the accumulations are going to continue to pile up in the same locations. We have alert days in for Tuesday and Wednesday, for tomorrow and Wednesday, for extremely frigid weather, and primarily because of the dangerous level of the wind chill. Wind chill levels are going to get to 15 to 25 below zero, and anytime you get to 15 to 25 below zero, anytime 20, 25 below zero, you can get to frostbite with exposed skin in about 20 to 30 minutes, so it becomes actually dangerous. And highs those days are only going to be in the single digits, the high single digits, hopefully. Currently, though, already down to 9. We're in the single digits already. Just only a 6-mile-an-hour wind is enough to make it feel below zero, and we're going to see a lot of that over the next several days. If you work for Battery Storm Tracker 2 Live Radar, our lake band is so far north it's almost being cut off. It's really up across the extreme northern portions of the viewing area, almost up into the Watertown market. You can see we have our dual lake bands. The Lake Erie's band is weakening a tad. However, this Lake Ontario band is going to continue to crank for several days. These wind chills and these numbers are downright nasty. They're very uncomfortable. We are below zero during the daytime for most of the day on Tuesday, despite the fact that it is sunny out. The wind is going to still feel very, very chilly. Each morning, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, we're anywhere from 15 to 25 below zero in terms of wind, in terms of wind chill when the winds peak when they gust up. Your skycast for tonight, that lake band stays up north. It stays up north through the night, through the day on Tuesday, and into the afternoon, into the evening Tuesday night, and even into the beginning of Wednesday. Wednesday, it starts to drop south just a tad, but then it moves right back up north before it falls apart and fizzles out. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast, we have our 2 alert days to start the week. We go into alert mode at midnight tonight due to that extremely frigid air, that extremely arctic air mass. Highs are going to be in the low 10s Tuesday and Wednesday. We go below zero Tuesday into Wednesday. It's going to be about low single digits Wednesday night, but a very chilly start with the wind Thursday morning. We finally start to warm up on Thursday. Mild conditions, a little bit more seasonably warm with temperatures in the low to mid 20s. And then a couple chances for light snow on Friday and Sunday. Otherwise, just partly sunny skies.